Okay, so just a reminder that the handout for the Unit 2 test review doesn't say the word review on it, so if you would please write that at the top so later on we're not confused about the actual test. It does also says please show all work on the test. I would also add circle your answer on a multiple choice, circle it on the test, and then go back in and fill in your answer document and bubble in the appropriate letters on the multiple choice. Now your test is not all multiple choice. There are 15 multiple choice and there are 4 short answer. The short answer then will be worth just a little bit more than the multiple choice. So anyway, that's just where you're going to put your efforts. So number 1, a pebble pattern is shown, which expression could be used to determine the number of pebbles in figure N. So this is where I would make a table. So I would have maybe figure number and pebbles. In figure number 1, there's 5 pebbles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These pebbles are squares, I guess. Picture 2 has 9. Picture 3 has 13, and picture 4 has 17. All I did was count them. There's no magical math that just happened. I counted them. So now, if you remember, I'm going to find the difference. So the difference between 5 and 9 is 4. Between 9 and 13 is 4, and between 13 and 17 is 4. So I'm always going to start with 4x. And then I have to make an adjustment so that when I put in the figure number here, I will get how many pebbles is in the picture. So for picture 1, if I put a 1 in here, 4 times 1 is 4, but I need 5. So I'm going to start with 4x plus 1 to get my expression, or n, right? It says in figure n, so I probably, instead of x, I apologize, I need to read my directions more carefully, figure n. So here, if I put a 2 in, 2 times 8 plus 1 is 9, and that's what I have. So it works. I can check all of them, and they all work. So I know that I have the right answer. Number 2 says, what is the value of x in the equation 3/4 x plus 3 equals 3 minus 9? Okay, so my first step is always to see if there's distribution. There isn't. Next, collect like terms. So 3 minus 9, if you put that in your calculator, you'll get -6. And then I'm just going to rewrite the left-hand side. Now all my like terms are collected and all my variables are on one side. So next I need to get all the numbers on the other side. So that means subtracting 3. So I have 3/4 x equals, and -6 and -3 is -9. Now remember, when we have a coefficient of x, we usually divide by that coefficient, but when it's a fraction, when we divide fractions, we have to keep, change, flip. So I'm going to go ahead and keep, change the sign, and flip the fraction, and that way I just sort of save myself a step. But if you need to write that division off to the side, that is okay. So when I multiply fractions here, I can cancel the 4s, I can cancel the 3. If you're not sure about all the canceling, just put it in your calculator. Put 4/3 times 3/4, you'll get 1, so 1x. Over here, again, I'm just going to multiply across. I can do some canceling, but I'm going to show you the long way. -9 times 4 is -36. You can put that in your calculator to make sure. 1 times 3 is 3. So if I divide this, simplify your fractions, always, always, always reduce, because you don't know if this is a short answer or a multiple choice. So -36 divided by 3, if you put that in your calculator, will give you -12. Now, how do I know if I'm right? I'm going to check. So if I put -12 in for x, my check step should equal -6 because, you know, I simplified here, and it does. You can put it in your calculator and double check. Okay, number 3. What is the solution to this equation? Okay, so first step on the left side is going to be to distribute. So 4 times x is 4x, 4 times 2 is 8. And then no distribution on this side, but there is like terms, so I'm just going to go ahead and combine them. So I have these two x's, so +6 and -2 gives me 4x, and then plus 10. Please remember not to combine your x's and your regular numbers. Those are not the like terms. Now I have to get all my x's on the same side, so I'm going to subtract 4x. And I'm going to end up with 8 equals 10, which is not true. So that means no solution. Okay. Remember, if it was true, that it would be infinitely many. It costs $30 to join Gym X plus an additional $25 a month. It costs $55 to join Gym Y plus an additional $20 per month. So whenever I see the word per, you can almost guarantee that's a multiplication. So I have 2 gyms, so I have 2 equations. After how many months of the membership would it cost the same to belong to either gym? So this is a systems of equations question where I need to come up with my equation. So Gym X, so let's say the cost of Gym X is going to be $25 per month plus $30 to join. Gym Y cost is going to be $20 per month plus $55 to join. So now I need to solve for the months because it only asks me for the months. It doesn't say how much will it cost. It says how many months will it be the same cost, right? I could actually come up with both answers if it did ask me that, but right now it's just saying for M. Since these are both equal to C, C equals C, I can actually write these 2 expressions equal to each other. So I don't have any distribution, but I do need to get the variables on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 20m from both sides, and that gives me 5m plus 30 on this side and 55 left on this side. And then my numbers have to go on the other side. So I have 5m equals 25, right? And then divide by 5. So I get m equals 5. So 5 months is when the membership to either gym will cost the same amount of money. Okay, the graph shows the volume of water compared to its mass. What is the slope of the line? Okay, so there's a little hint here. The slope of the line equals the change in y and the change in x. So remember when I used to say find 2 good points? That means they're right across the grid lines. Well, all of these are good points. Now, the little dots look wonky, and I don't know why that is. It's just the computer program that's used. So I can start with any point and decide what's going to happen. So I'm going to start here at 1, 2. And my change in y, it looks like when I go up, it really am going up by 2. There's actually, this is 3 and this is 4, so I went up 2. And then I went over, from 1 to 2 is just going over 1. So my change in x is 1. So that is my slope. 2 over 1, which equals 2 when you simplify it. Now 6 says the graph shows the amount of water in the tank over time. How much water is in the tank to start? Okay, the start is at 0 minutes. It has 18 gallons to start. That's my y-intercept, isn't it? 18 gallons. How much time does it take for the water to empty? So empty is, again, 0 down here. So all this time, it takes 9 minutes to empty. And then it says, what is the rate of change? Okay, so rate of change, remember that is change in y over change in x. So I need to look, the graph is very pale for me, but I see a good point right here, and I see a good point right here. So just right in the middle of the graph, I'm picking 2 random points. It doesn't matter which 2 as long as they are right on the grid. So my change in y looks like I'm going down from 12 to 10. I'm going down a -2. And then when I go from 3 to 4, I just went over 1. So my rate of change is -2. Okay. All right, number 7. Remember, this is the one we had to scribble out the weird point that's in the middle of the graph. Given the graph, write an equation that models the relationship between x and y. So that means x equals, y equals mx plus b. That's an equation of a line. Whenever it says write the equation of any kind of line here, that means we're going to start with this. So m, remember, stands for slope. So m is the change in y over the change in x. And b is my y-intercept, is where x is 0. So I have to fill in those numbers, and then I'll have the equation. So here I see this is my y-intercept, and that looks like 0, 3. So I have y equals some number x plus some number here, and I just found out that number is 3. My change in x, so if I go ahead and use that as a good point, it looks like this is another good point right here. I went down -2, and I went over 2. So that looks like -1 to me. So instead of writing a 1 there, I'm just going to write a negative because there's a -1x. So y equals, I'll just put the 1 there so you can see it. -x plus 3 would be my final answer, so it's the most simplified form. Okay, number 8. Use the data, oops, let me get on the screen. Use the data in the table to write the equation that gives the number of feet, y, Jessica is from her friend's house for any given amount of time in minutes, x, since Jessica left her house. Okay, so let me make sure we know how far away we are or how far we need to travel. This is our total, this is our y-intercept. We're starting 4,300 feet away from our friend's house. So as we walk, the distance gets shorter and shorter. Okay, so that means when I pick these 2 points here, remember, it says we're looking for an equation again, right? So we have y equals mx plus b again, and m is my change in y over my change in x. So if I go from 4,300 to 4,230, I actually went down 70 feet. And then I went from 0 to 1, I only went up 1 foot. So my rate of change, or my m, is 70. I would say that's what, feet per minutes. Yeah, feet per minute. So there's my slope. So y equals -70x. And then I already said this is my y-intercept right here. When x is 0, y is 4,300. So there's my equation of that line. Number 9 says, the graph shows that Mo charges a customer for mowing. His name is Mo and he mows. Okay. In addition to an hourly fee, customers are charged an additional flat fee for the cost of a gallon of gas regardless of how long he mows. What is the y-intercept and slope, and what do they mean? Okay, so the y-intercept is right here. The y-intercept is 0, 3. The slope, a little bit trickier because the good points are sort of hard to find. I actually had to go all the way up here to find a good point, and then my y-intercept's already a good point. So vertically, if I go from 3 to 27, let's see, how much did I actually go? Well, that looks like I only went 24. Oops, and I wrote 3 somehow. 24 over, well, if I went over 1, 2, 3, I went over 3. So 24 divided by 3 is 8, or 8 over 1. So 8 is my slope. Now, what do they mean? In this situation, it means that my additional to my hourly fee, I have to, Mo charges $3 to start. $3 to start mowing. And then he makes $8 per hour for mowing. So that's just translating the graph there. Okay, so Kendra knits at a constant rate. She's able to knit 35 stitches in 5 minutes. So that's her constant rate. I'm just going to reduce that before I keep reading as 6 over 1. So now it says make a table that correctly shows the number of stitches she can knit in 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 minutes. So let's start with our table here. And I'm making this horizontal just because of the room that I was given. Sorry, it's not very pretty. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay. Ooh, I just got a little crazy with my pencil there. All right. If she stitches for 0 minutes, she's going to make 0 stitches. You know, before she even starts, she has none. But if she goes for 2 minutes and she makes 6 stitches every minute, so for 2 minutes, that means she's going to do 12 stitches. So I just did 6 times 2 to find out how many stitches she has. Likewise, I'm going to do 4 times 6, which is 24, and 6 times 6, which is 36. 8 times 6, 48, and then 10 times 6 is 60. So that should be how many stitches she has for those allotted minutes. Okay, now remember, number 11, we had to scratch out 10 and put a 6. The table shows Stacy's cost for internet connection at Hotel A. The equation shows Stacy's cost in Y in dollars for internet connection for X minutes at Hotel B. Which hotel has the greater cost after 6 minutes? So the first step here is for me to know the equation for Hotel A. I already know the equation for Hotel B, but over here I need to know a y equals mx plus b. It's just going to be a lot easier to solve algebraically here if I set this up. So the b is easy, okay? It's already given. So I'm going to erase b and I'm going to put in a 0.75 because at 0 minutes of internet she has to pay 75 cents just to start. And then the slope's a little harder. So this number for M is, I've got to put in my rate of change. So that means if I go from 75 to 1.05, but it's 2 minutes, right? So if you look at that, that's 30 cents, but it was 2 minutes. That ends up being 15 cents per 1 minute. So my slope is 15 cents. So 15 over 1 is just 15 cents. So there's my equation. Okay, so now it says after 6 minutes. So all I'm going to do is put a 6 in there. So I'm going to have her cost equals 0.15 times 6 plus 0.75. I'm going to put all of that in my calculator. Well, I don't even have to really do that, do I? But anyway, here it is $1.65, which the chart was the shortcut for 6. But now I have 20, right? So why don't I just go ahead and show you? I don't know why I underlined that. It's just taking up too much space. Okay, so why don't I go ahead and just find the cost for 20 while I'm at it, because it's going to ask me that too. When I plug all of that in, I get $3.75 in my calculator. Now, over here, I need to know what it is after 6 minutes. So plug and chug away, I get $1.20. So for 6 minutes, it looks like $1.65 or $1.20. I want Hotel B for 6 minutes because that is less money. After 20 minutes of internet, I mean, I don't even know how people can only do 20 minutes of internet. I'm on it literally all day long. So anyway, I'm glad I'm not at a hotel. 20 cents for 20 minutes is going to be $4 even. This is where Hotel A is going to be a better price, because Hotel A is only $3.75. That is cheaper than $4. Okay, so now we're on number 12. The graph represents the cost, Y in dollars, of X notebooks at store A. The equation represents the cost, Y in dollars, of X notebooks at store B. What is the slope for each store? Do these representations show direct variation? Why or why not? Okay, so for store B, we already know the slope is $1.35 because the slope is the coefficient to X. Over here on the graph, I don't have an equation to just grab the number off of, so I need to come up with it by myself. And again, the graph is super light, and so good points are pretty tricky to find, but I found a good point at 8 notebooks, and I found a good point at 12 notebooks right there. Okay, so now I just need to move. Remember, change in y over change in x is what my slope is. So I'm just going to make my little weird triangle here because I'm going from one point to the other. So when I go up here from, this ends up being at 6 to 9. When I go from 6 to 9, that is 3. And then over here, I'm starting at 8, and I'm going over to 12, which is 4. So this slope as a decimal would be 0.75. Now, are both of these or one of these direct variation? The answer is yes, they both are direct variation because they both have a constant rate of change, and the kicker is, and they both go through the origin. The y-intercept here is 0. The y-intercept here is 0. So they both go through the y-intercept. They are both direct variation. Number 13 says, a system of equations and its graph are shown. What's the solution to the system? So this one is just knowing how to read the graph. So remember, x's always come first. So I'm going -4. And I'm going up to +1. So I'm looking for -4, 1. There it is. So this is just knowing how to read your graph for number 13. Number 14, determine the solution to the system of equations by graphing each equation on the grid. Identify the point showing the solution with its coordinates. So since this is multiple choice, we could actually kind of do a little cheaty and not graph it, but you wouldn't be showing your work correctly, and then if you mark the wrong answer, you wouldn't get partial credit. So we really want to follow the directions even though it's multiple choice, unless we totally don't know how to graph and then we're guessing anyways, so you're not going to get partial credit regardless. So if you pick the wrong one and you have a lot of work shown, then you can get more points. So I'm going to start with this one because it's already in, I already know the m and I already know the b. So my y-intercept here is 0, -5, and my slope, right, is 2. So 0, -5 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is -5. Slope means I rise 2 and run 1. Rise 2, run 1. I have enough points for my ruler. There's one line. And then here I've got a +5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 5. And I'm going to rise -1, run 2. -1, run 2. And I already know my point, I think. And this is my solution. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3. So 4, 3 is my solution. 15, I can't even fit on all on one screen, but I did want to remind you that you were supposed to scratch out that top equation and write 2x minus y equals 4. The easiest thing to do here is to solve both things for y, and that way you know the y-intercept and the slope. Now we don't like to do that. That's okay. You don't have to like it. Just have to know how to do it. So here, I'm going to circle the y. That means I need to subtract 2x from both sides. And I just don't have a lot of workspace, so I'm going to go over here. So I'm going to have -y equals -2x plus 4. Now remember, I put that, when I subtracted 2x from both sides, I always put the x first, so it's mx plus b. Then I have this -y, means I have to divide everything by -1. So that gives me y equals 2x minus 4. Okay, that's the first equation. Over here, I got the same thing. I'm going to have to subtract 3x. So I'll have -y equals -3x plus 5. And then I have to divide everything by -1 again. That gives me y equals 3x minus 5. So I'm looking for the equations that are now in slope-intercept form. So I'm looking for equations with 0, -4, and 0, -5. So I'm looking here. Here's a -4, but this one doesn't have a -5, so it's out. This one doesn't have either one, so it's out on the bottom. C doesn't have either one. D doesn't have either one. B Oh, looky there. It has both. It must be this one. I didn't even have to check the slope. All I had to check was y-intercepts, and I'm good to go. So if you didn't get the y-intercept form, what you could do instead is you could put in the points you'd see. So here I see 0, negative 4 is a point. I could test that point, put a 0 in here and see if I got negative 4, and then, you know, test them, but it would take you so long. Okay, so I wouldn't go that route at all. I would totally solve for y if you're going to finish this test in one class period. Okay, some reminders of things we were supposed to mark up on the last page. And again, it says number 1 again. So this is like your short answer portion. Okay, it's going to be different on your test, of course, but this will help you. There are no multiple choice options anyhow. Okay, so Alan's planning to add a movie rental feature to his cable TV plan, and he has gathered information about the 2 different plans offered by his cable company. Plan A says pay $45 a month plus $5 for each movie, and Plan B says $8 per movie. So your 2 columns should be movies and cost. I think I told my morning classes that was supposed to be months, and I apologize. I was blowing and going that day, and so it's supposed to be movies and cost. Down here, instead of linear function, it should say equation, and we scratched out everything about domain and range. Same thing down here, movies, cost, equation, scratch out everything, domain and range. Okay, so Plan A says $45 a month plus $5 for each movie. So I need to know if I order 0 movies, 1 movie, 2 movies, or 3 movies, and have some ordered pairs in order to plot that over here. So 0 movies, I'm still going to pay $45 because it doesn't matter if I order any or not, I'm paying that each month. But then if I order 1 movie, I pay $45 plus $5 more, 2 movies, 3 movies. So hopefully you're with me there on how that goes. Now on my scale, I had a little trouble figuring out what was going to be the best line. I went ahead and just did 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So at 0, 45 would be my first point. And then 1 would be 50, 55, right? And 3 would be 60. So I had 4 points, but they're really close together. And I guess that's just the way it's got to be. So such is life. And then there's my line. And it says, write the equation that fits this plan. So I know it's y equals however many movies. So it looks like my slope, it goes up $5 for every month. I'm sorry, for every movie. See, I almost did it again. Let me change my y to cost. So $5 per movie plus that $45 initially is my equation for Plan A. Plan B says that's just $8 a movie. So I'm going to go ahead and write that equation. The cost equals $8 per movie. Per means multiply, right? Movies, 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's see what happens. If I have 0 movies, I pay $0. Yay. 1 movie is 8. 2 movies would be 16, and 3 movies would be 24. So I forgot to tell you my scale on the bottom here. I just did 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here I went ahead and did 10s again. That's the only thing I could figure that was both. The scale would be good for both. So starts at 0, 0. And then at 1, 8, which is just right below, 2 at 16, 3 at 24, so 24, tricky because none of them lie in the grid, like I'm guessing on all of them, but it's as good as I could get it. I don't know if you guys came up with a better scale, tell me in class tomorrow, but that's what I got. Okay, and I already have my equation. So now it says if, for number 2, it says if Alan rents 5 movies on average each month, which plan would you recommend that he choose? Support your recommendation using mathematical evidence. So I'm going to use my equations. I'm going to say the cost of Plan A would be $5 per, he says 5 movies, plus 45. When I solve that in my calculator, I get that $70. Plan B, if it's just $8 times 5 movies, that equals $40. So I'm going to say Plan B is $30 less than Plan A. So there's my mathematical evidence. Now it says if Alan knows his average usage is going to be 20 movies a month, that's more like my family. That means I'm going to still use my two equations. So $5 per movie for 20 movies plus that $45 fee, that's going to equal $145. Good grief. Plan B is $8 a movie for 20 movies. When I put that in my calculator, that's $160. So Plan A, it says, should he change to a different plan? I would say, oh yeah, Plan A, yes. Plan A would save him, would save, what's his name, Alan? Would save Alan $15 per month. If he's going to watch 20 movies, you might as well go with the cheaper. And last it says, explain whether either of the plans represents a direct variation. I remember there's a y-intercept on Plan A because you start off paying $45 whether you watch a movie or not. So Plan A is not direct variation, but I would say both have a constant rate of change, but Plan B has no initial charge, so it is directly varying. So Plan B. Okay, that's your whole review, and I will see you in class. Good luck on the test, and it's almost break time. Hang in there, guys.